I'll have to say, one of the most frustrating things about building your own car is figuring out all the kinks of things. Pretty much no matter how well you try to do things right, you're always gonna run into some things that you should have done a little better or just wasn't done enough. So we are running into that with this car over and over and over, as you guys can tell. So car was at the tuner. It's done good so far, but it developed a leak from the turbo return line into the block. So I have a 90-degree fitting that screws into the block there, and what happens was over time it loosened itself. So all I ended up doing was building, if we can get in there, building a bracket like that right there, this metal piece right there. Building that actually just wedges in there and prevents that 90-degree fitting from turning, and then it is bolted on and everything. So that should fix that problem. And then I'm going to just rebuild my return line. This is the old one, and I think this was just a cheaper fitting in general. So I think this wasn't tightening down very well. So that on top of the 45-degree fitting that twisted loose, it just developed a leak, and so it started smoking really bad on the turbo. Nobody wants that. Fire could happen, bad things happen. So had to go get it, bring it back. We're fixing the issue. And we also ran into an issue in where a fuel pump slid off one of the hoses. So I just bit the bullet and went and bought a nice Radium hanger. There's a dual pump, so I will be installing that as well. We get these done and we can bring the car back up and finish with the dyno. Did really well, made like 420 on like 10 psi, so that's pretty good. That's just on pump gas. I don't know how much further we're gonna put it on pump. We'll see where our limitations are, and then we're gonna do an E85 tune as well with the flex fuel, so that way I don't have to try and get perfect E85. The flex fuel will take care of it. So that is where we are at. So today I'm going to try and finish up this turbo return line, and we can move on to the fuel. Well, that's a bummer. I made my first line a hair too short, so hopefully I can take these fittings off without damaging anything, and I can cut a new piece of hose. But yeah, trying to measure off of my old one, and I don't know if I just didn't make it long enough, or maybe this one should have been longer. That's why it didn't work very good. But yeah, I need to make this one about 3/4 of an inch longer, I believe. All right, luckily I was able to get these off, back on with no issues. And yeah, it's about 3/4 of an inch longer. Hopefully that will be the right length so I can get this buttoned back up. Well, after way too long, I think I have everything hooked back up. New oil line down there. Looks a lot better, feels a lot better, so hopefully that doesn't leak. If it does, I might just blow this car up. All the exhaust is tightened up, turbo's solid. So I think we are done in the front here. Now we can move to the fuel section. I guess I still need to throw on this coupler. That'll go down there. But other than that, we're done. Hopefully the fuel hopefully the fuel goes a little more smooth than that. Wasn't bad, it's just a pain working on everything. Everything is just so tight, bending over. So hopefully the hanger's not too bad. This looks pretty plug and play. So I am not anticipating this being that bad. So we'll see. But I'll start on that tomorrow because it's late and I want to go inside. Well, it is the next day, and obviously you can see I have the old pumps out. And here we have the Radium hanger, and I gotta admit, this thing is pretty well designed. They supply you with pretty much everything you need to install. First thing first, if you are having two pumps, this fitting right here comes with a plug in it. So you'll have to take that and they will supply a -6 ORB fitting that you just need to put in there. That way you can run both the pumps. So for transferring over, obviously you have the sender and the temp gauge and the wiring. From everything I've seen, you have to mount this actually inside of the tank, so you have to kind of put it in first and then bolt it on to the hanger, which goes right here. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, I feel like things are pretty straightforward. So I guess let's start figuring out how to mount these pumps. One thing I'm a little confused of is what you do with the filters. Like, do you just kind of curl them up and shove them in there? Like that? Because clearly there's no room down there for the filters, but I don't know. I'll do some research and see what other people have done. You know that feeling when all of a sudden that bolt goes from righty-tighty to righty-loosey and you know you just made a big mistake? Well, kind of have that same feeling right now when you just busted a pump. So there's a $120 mistake. Yippee. Yeah, not happy. But I think I have one of those exact pumps inside here for the C10. So I think at least I can pull that out and put it on. That way I don't have to wait for a new one to get here before I can put this back in. But yeah, that makes me sad. Perfectly good pump broke. So, joy. Well, like I said, luckily I had another pump sitting in the C10, so I can rob it from this one just to get it going sooner. Then I'll order a new one. Man, that sucks. I was trying to tighten this clamp down and all of a sudden it just busted. Oh well. So I can rob this one, put it on here, we can get the Subaru running. Because who knows when the C10 is going to start. Probably not for a long time. Well, I think I'm finally ready to throw this into the car for everything wired. As of now, this is to my second pump. It's wired to the ECU. What's nice about this is everything is literally labeled of where it needs to go. So here is pump 2. So that is going to the second pump. And it is kind of a tedious process getting all these done correctly and figuring out what's what. But yeah, finally ready. One thing I don't know if I did right or kind of what they were thinking. So this is actually a plug to plug into a pump, and I'm using it for the level sensor because it came with 2 of these plugs, which I don't know exactly what they are for, but they do plug into this. I don't know if it's so you can make an adapter. So instead, and it did come with these 2, which again, I don't know exactly what they're for. Probably should read the instructions. But I decided to just use one of these plugs that they supplied you, and one of the old pump connector off of the old hanger, and just use that. So once I get this in the car, I can bolt on the level sensor and these will plug together and it should work just fine. So we'll see. They also say that you're supposed to connect this after it's in the car, and you should have 2 people. Well, I'm gonna do it with me, so we'll see how that goes. I think I have an idea to make it pretty easy, but we'll find out. Okay, so my idea here is have a piece of wire so I can just drop this down in there, kind of let it chill, and then I can slide this in, and then once it's kind of halfway in, I can pull this up and hopefully screw in the screws into this, and it'll be pretty easy, but we'll find out. That's the plan though. I don't know why this car hates me. Literally everything I do turns into a much bigger process for no reason. I guess there is a reason, probably because it is like a 30-year-old car. So what we're running into, this side will not seat down, and I believe it's because it is dented. The tank is dented from the bottom, so it's pushing up, which there's an internal baffle. So that internal baffle is hitting on the hanger, so it won't let it sit down all the way. So this side's fine, but this side won't. And so yeah, that dent is not allowing it to swing over and sit where it needs to. I tried hammering. My option if that's not gonna work is tank swap. I have 2 other tanks I could use, but I'd have to pull it off the other car, pull this tank out, and swap tanks, and I really don't want to do that. So I might try to keep hammering, but I don't think that's gonna work, because I thought I moved it quite a bit, and it's still not sitting down there, so I don't know what to do. Well guys, I think I have it to where it's able to seat. I literally just took this big old bar and a hammer and just started beating it down. I was like, it's either gonna get down enough to where it'll clear or it'll puncture a hole. Either way, I'm gonna have to swap a tank, so I just started beating it. So I just started hammering it down, and it looks like it actually is gonna work. So that is a win. I still need to take it back up to put the fuel sender back on, but I think it is gonna work. I don't have to swap a tank, so that is a huge win right now. Might have to do it down the road, but as of now, I think we're good. Well, the good news is I was able to hammer it down enough to where I could get the pump in and everything's hooked up. I actually started the car, it works, but my fuel gauge isn't working. Lights on, it's reading empty. So that sucks. I don't know if the sender got damaged while installing or something's not wired correctly. And I kind of want that to work, so I think I'm gonna have to be tearing that back out to figure out what's wrong there. So that kind of sucks. Always something, but I guess we'll figure it out. Well guys, I've been working all day long in the tractor. It's like 8 o'clock and I got done spreading fertilizer and I was like, gosh, I gotta go get that pump in. So I real quick ran and did it, Got everything rewired, everything's working, fuel level's working, pump's working, so I think I'm good to go here. So that means tomorrow or the day after, whenever I feel like it, I can start up the car, see how it runs, I guess make sure it runs, check the oil leak for the turbo, make sure that's not leaking anymore, and then next week I can bring the car back up to the tuner and we can get this thing knocked out.